time? A slippery thing. A river, some say. A current pulling us ever forward. But what if it wasn't? What if it was a loop, a snake swallowing its own tail? What if everything that has happened, will happen, and is happening, is inextricably linked, woven into a single, unbreakable thread? Tonight, we unravel one of the most intricate, tragic, and mind-bending threads ever conceived. The story of the agent, the lover, the mother, the father, the child, and the bomber, all wrapped up in one impossible existence. This is the chronicle of predestination. Our journey begins not at the beginning. Time rarely affords us such luxuries, but in the heat of the moment. March 1975, New York City. An explosion averted, barely. We see a figure, cloaked in shadow, fighting desperately to disarm a complex device. Flames lick at him, scorching flesh, searing pain. This is a temporal agent, one of an unseen, unknown bureau dedicated to preventing catastrophes before they happen, navigating the treacherous currents of time itself. His target? The elusive, devastatingly effective Fizzle bomber, a terrorist whose attacks have claimed thousands of lives across decades. The agent succeeds, mostly. The bomb is contained, but not without cost. His face is ravaged by fire, his body broken. As he collapses, another figure retrieves a crucial piece of equipment, a compact field kit, a time travel device, ensuring its return to the Bureau. The injured agent, his identity consumed by the flames, is pulled back through time, back to the Bureau's headquarters, a place existing outside the normal flow of history. He undergoes extensive reconstructive surgery. His face is new, unfamiliar even to himself. He is scarred, not just physically, but by the temporal jumps, the constant displacement. Time travel exacts a toll, a neurological decay, a fracturing of the self. He is weary, haunted by the lives he couldn't save, obsessed with the one phantom he can't catch, the Fizzle bomber. He's given one final mission, one last jump, before mandatory retirement forces him aground in a specific time, unable to leap again. His target remains the same: find the Fizzle bomber, stop him before his culminating, most devastating attack in 1975. To do this, he must blend in. He travels to November 1970, New York City. He takes a job as a bartender in a dimly lit, smoky establishment called Pop's Place, a place where stories linger like stale cigarette smoke. He waits, listens, watches. He's not just serving drinks, he's fishing in the currents of time, looking for a ripple, a clue, anything that might lead him to his quarry. And then, one night, he walks in. A man with weary eyes and a story etched onto his face, writing confessional pieces for pulp magazines under the pen name The Unmarried Mother. An unusual moniker, certainly. The bartender, our agent, strikes up a conversation, sensing something extraordinary beneath the surface cynicism. He offers a bottle of whiskey and an open ear, wagering that this stranger possesses the most incredible story he's ever heard. The stranger accepts the challenge. He introduces himself as John, and he begins to talk. His voice, low and gravelly, carries the weight of years, the burden of secrets. He warns the bartender, "When I unfold my story, you're going to think I'm crazy, or lying, or both." John's story doesn't begin with him, but with her, with Jane. We rewind. Cleveland, 1945. An infant girl left on the steps of an orphanage. Jane. She grows up intelligent, fiercely independent, but ostracized, different. She excels in sciences, in mechanics, yet struggles socially. She's tough, quick with her fists, defending herself against bullies who sense her otherness. She dreams of escaping Earth, of reaching for the stars. Her ambition leads her to apply for Space Corp, a government program seeking exceptional women for space travel, disguised as a program seeking ideal companions for male astronauts. Jane aces the rigorous physical and mental tests. She is stronger, faster, smarter than the other candidates.
She seems destined for greatness. But there's a secret Jane carries, one even she doesn't fully understand. During the medical examinations, doctors discover an anomaly. Jane possesses both male and female reproductive organs. She is intersex. Though seemingly female externally at birth, her internal biology is complex. This classified finding, combined with a fight she gets into, deemed instability, leads to her abrupt disqualification from Space Corp. Her dreams shatter. The reason given is flimsy, masking the truth of her biology, a truth deemed too complicated. Cast adrift, Jane drifts through life. She takes night classes, works menial jobs, her brilliance stifled, her spirit wounded. She remains isolated, yearning for connection, but wary of the world that rejected her. Then, one evening in 1963, while taking a class, she bumps into a man. Literally. Books scatter. There's an instant connection, an undeniable spark. He's handsome, enigmatic, understanding. He sees her. Really sees her, in a way no one else ever has. He doesn't just listen, he understands her complexities, her frustrations, her hidden depths. They fall deeply, passionately in love. For the first time, Jane feels whole, accepted. He tells her she is special, unique, destined for something important. He seems to know things about her, anticipating her thoughts, finishing her sentences. It's whirlwind, intoxicating, but he remains elusive about his own past, hinting at obligations, at having to leave. He makes her promise that if he disappears, she won't look for him. Then, just as suddenly as he appeared, he vanishes, gone without a trace, leaving Jane heartbroken, confused, and pregnant. 9 months later, Jane gives birth. It's a traumatic experience. Complications arise due to her unique physiology, forcing an emergency cesarean section. The doctors performing the surgery discover the full extent of her intersex condition. Severe hemorrhaging necessitates a hysterectomy, but more than that, they determine that to save her life, a full gender reassignment is required. The damage is too extensive. Her female organs are removed. Over time, through hormone therapy and further surgeries, Jane will transition into John. But the immediate horror overshadows even this life-altering revelation. While Jane recovers, sedated and weak, her newborn baby girl vanishes from the hospital nursery, stolen by an unidentified man. No witnesses, no leads. The police investigation hits a dead end. Jane is left reeling, rejected by her dreams, abandoned by her lover, her child stolen, her very biological identity forcibly changed. The foundations of her life have crumbled into dust. Emerging from this crucible of pain and loss, Jane becomes John. He embraces his new identity, leaving Cleveland and the ghosts of his past behind. He drifts, takes odd jobs, writes his experiences down as fiction, channeling his pain and confusion onto the page. He becomes bitter, cynical, haunted by the memory of the man who loved and left him, the man he blames for ruining his life, and obsessed with finding the daughter he never knew. His writing, under the name The Unmarried Mother, becomes his only outlet, a way to scream into the void. This brings us back to the bar, back to 1970. John finishes his incredible, heartbreaking story. The bartender listens intently, his expression unreadable. John, exhausted and emotional, expects disbelief, perhaps pity. Instead, the bartender leans in. "What if I told you," he says softly, "that I could put you in front of the man who ruined your life? And what if I promised you'd get away with it?" John is incredulous. Is this a joke? A cruel trick? But the bartender is deadly serious. He reveals his true purpose, not just a barkeep, but something more. He opens a small, inconspicuous case, the field kit we saw earlier. Inside, nestled in foam, lies a device humming with latent energy. A time machine. The bartender explains the rules. Temporal travel is precise, unforgiving. You can't stay too long, can't interfere recklessly. But this mission, he suggests, is different. This is about justice, about closing a loop. He offers John the chance to confront the mysterious lover who abandoned Jane all those years ago. John, fueled by years of resentment and a desperate need for closure, agrees. The bartender inputs coordinates. April 3rd, 1963, Cleveland. The exact time and place Jane first met her enigmatic lover. The device activates, reality shimmers, and the two men vanish from the bar. They materialize in an alleyway in 1963. The bartender gives John instructions. Find Jane, interact with her as her lover did. He leaves John with a gun, implying he should exact his revenge. But John hesitates. He sees his younger self, Jane, full of hope and vulnerability. He walks towards her, bumping into her, scattering her books. The scene plays out exactly as Jane described it. And in that moment, the first devastating paradox snaps into place. John is the man Jane fell in love with. He is the enigmatic stranger. He doesn't need to find the man who ruined Jane's life. He is that man. The bartender knew this all along. He didn't bring John back for revenge. He brought him back to fulfill the past, to ensure the loop remained unbroken. John, initially intending confrontation, finds himself drawn to Jane. He recognizes her loneliness, her intelligence, her potential. He remembers the connection they shared because he shared it. He falls in love with her, with his past self. He becomes the lover from her story, saying the same words, offering the same comfort, knowing he must eventually leave, knowing he is setting her, and therefore himself, on this painful path. He is caught in the inexorable pull of predestination. He lives out the romance, knowing its tragic end. He leaves Jane, heartbroken but fulfilling his role in the sequence. Meanwhile, the bartender hasn't been idle. While John is occupied with Jane, the agent undertakes his own crucial mission within this time frame. He jumps forward 9 months to the hospital where Jane gives birth. Disguised as hospital staff, he navigates the corridors, locates the nursery, and finds the newborn baby girl. Jane's daughter. His daughter. Her daughter. The Ouroboros tightens. He steals the baby. He is the unidentified man from Jane John's story. He takes the infant, travels back 18 years to 1945, and leaves her on the steps of the Cleveland City orphanage. He ensures that Jane, the baby, will grow up to become Jane, the young woman, who will meet John, her future self, conceive a child, herself, give birth, have the baby stolen by the agent, her future past self, become John, meet the bartender, her much older self, and travel back in time to impregnate Jane, her younger self. She is her own mother, her own father, trapped in a causal loop engineered by the Temporal Bureau, or perhaps simply by the nature of time itself. His task complete, the bartender returns to 1963, retrieves the now emotionally shattered John, who has just abandoned Jane. John is reeling from the realization of his own role in his past tragedy. The bartender offers no comfort, only the next step. He takes John forward in time, jumping years in a single bound, arriving in 1985. They materialize not in the world John knew, but inside the sterile, hidden headquarters of the Temporal Bureau. The bartender reveals the truth. John's unique existence, born from a paradox, makes him the perfect candidate to become a temporal agent. He has no past ties, no family tree that can be disrupted by the ripples of time travel. He is, in essence, a bootstrap paradox personified, an anomaly perfectly suited for navigating anomalies. The bartender introduces John to their world, the Bureau, the mission to prevent disasters, the sophisticated temporal displacement technology contained within unassuming violin cases. He speaks of purpose, of making a difference, of using John's unique circumstances for a greater good. He also warns him of the dangers, the physical and mental toll, the loneliness of the job. John, rootless, scarred, and perhaps seeing a chance to impose some meaning on his chaotic existence, accepts. He joins the Bureau, he begins his training, he becomes an agent. And who is this bartender, this seasoned agent guiding John? He is, of course, John himself, decades older. The agent who recruited John is the future version of the man he recruited. The young recruit John will undergo years of service, jumping through time, preventing crimes, stopping tragedies. He will become a highly skilled, deeply scarred agent. He will eventually take on the mission to stop the Fizzle bomber. He will be injured in the 1975 fire, requiring facial reconstruction. He will become the bartender, tasked with one final mission before retirement. He will go back to 1970, work at Pop's place, wait for his younger self, John, the unmarried mother, to walk in. He will listen to his own life story. He will take his younger self back to impregnate Jane, his even younger self. He will steal his own infant self and place her in the orphanage. He will recruit his younger self into the bureau. The entire cycle we've witnessed was orchestrated, in a sense, by its own outcome. Years fold like paper. John matures into the seasoned agent we first met, the bartender, played by Ethan Hawke. He excels at his job, but the jumps take their toll. Headaches, disorientation, flashes of memory that feel like premonitions. He becomes increasingly obsessed with the Fizzle bomber, the one failure that stains his otherwise successful career. The Bureau rules forbid agents from pursuing personal vendettas or altering events they were involved in, but the bomber feels different. Personal. He studies the Fizzle bomber case files relentlessly. The attacks are precise, targeting specific locations and resulting in significant casualties, yet seemingly random. The bomber leaves cryptic messages, taunts the authorities across time. The agent analyzes the temporal displacement signatures left behind by the bomber's jumps, searching for a pattern, a clue to his identity or his next target. He notes the increasing sophistication of the bombs, the escalating scale of the attacks, culminating in the devastating New York City event planned for March 1975, the very event that nearly killed him at the start of our narrative. His final mission briefing confirms this. Stop the 1975 bombing, apprehend the Fizzle bomber. This is his last chance before forced retirement. The Bureau plans to decommission his field kit after this jump, stranding him permanently in 1975 to live out his remaining days, preventing further temporal decay. He makes the jump to 1975, to the laundromat where the bomb is planted. This brings us back full circle to the opening scene. He confronts the bomber. They fight. He disarms the bomb, but is caught in the fire. His face is destroyed. His younger self retrieves the field kit. He is pulled back to the bureau for surgery, receives his new face, the face of the bartender. Then, disguised as the bartender, he jumps to 1970, recruits John. The loop solidifies. But the story doesn't end there. After recruiting John and ensuring the baby Jane is placed in the orphanage, the agent, our primary protagonist, the bartender, is approaching his own final decommissioning jump. He is supposed to retire peacefully in 1975, just before the New York bombing he already knows he, as his younger self, will partially thwart. The Bureau gives him his final coordinates. However, his equipment glitches. Or perhaps it's not a glitch. Perhaps it's a deliberate anomaly programmed by someone. His field kit fails to decommission upon arrival in 1975. It remains active. He's free from the Bureau's immediate control, but stranded in time with a working device and a mind increasingly fractured by temporal paradoxes and recurring headaches. He tries to settle down, to accept retirement. He works mundane jobs. But the obsession with the Fizzle bomber lingers, stronger than ever. He pores over old newspaper clippings, police reports, anything related to the bombings. He starts to piece together inconsistencies, patterns he missed before. He finds a recording left behind by the bomber, a manifesto of sorts. The Fizzle bomber claims his attacks weren't random acts of terror, but carefully calculated surgical strikes. He argues that by killing thousands, he prevented future wars, averted disasters, saving millions more lives down the line. He saw himself as a necessary evil, correcting the timeline's mistakes, doing the dirty work the Temporal Bureau was too cautious, too bureaucratic to handle. His methods were brutal, but his goal, he claims, was benevolent. A twisted logic born from isolation and the godlike perspective afforded by time travel. The agent feels a strange resonance with this philosophy. Hasn't he often felt hampered by Bureau rules? Hasn't he wondered about the greater good? The headaches intensify. Flashes of the bomber's actions feel like his own memories. Doubt creeps in. Then he finds it. A crucial clue. The temporal displacement signature of the bomber's jumps matches his own decommissioned field kit. The kit he currently possesses. The kit that failed to shut down. He follows the energy trail, the temporal breadcrumbs. It leads him to a specific location, a specific time, back to the same laundromat, just moments before his younger self arrives to disarm the bomb, and there he finds him, an older man, face lined with weariness and fanaticism, assembling the final devastating device, the fizzle bomber. The agent confronts him, and the final, most horrifying truth crashes down. The fizzle bomber looks back at him with familiar eyes, weathered, aged, slightly mad, but undeniably his. The fizzle bomber is him, his future self. The older version, the bomber, explains everything. How, after retirement, the glitches, the headaches, the loneliness, the perceived failures of the Bureau festered. How he began using the still-active kit to correct history his way. How the bombings were his attempt to sculpt a better future, believing the Bureau's non-interference policy was flawed. He argues that all the lives lost were necessary sacrifices. He tries to convince his younger self, the agent, that this path is inevitable. It's their destiny. He even reveals that he was the one who caused the agent's field kit to malfunction upon retirement, ensuring he would have the means to become the bomber. He set his younger self on this path. He argues that their life, the Jane-John agent paradox, created them for this singular purpose, to be the ultimate temporal regulator, unbound by rules. The agent stares at his future, at the monster he is destined to become. He sees the madness in his own eyes. He hears the twisted logic, the justification for mass murder. He remembers the faces of the victims, the devastation he witnessed throughout his career. The bomber pleads with him. If you kill me, you become me. It's the only way. You can't escape it. He insists that this confrontation, this murder, is just another predetermined point in their loop. The agent is torn. Is free will an illusion? Is he doomed to fulfill this horrific destiny? He looks at the bomb, ticking down. He looks at his older self, a grotesque reflection of his own potential future. He has spent his life preventing catastrophes, hunting this very man. Can he now become him? Or can he break the cycle? His younger self is about to arrive outside. The fight, the fire, are moments away. In this sliver of time, a decision must be made. Predestination or choice? With trembling hands, the agent raises his gun. He looks into the eyes of his future, his enemy, his self. He sees the cyclical nightmare, the serpent consuming its tail. He sees Jane, the lonely girl. He sees John, the bitter writer. He sees the dedicated agent. And he sees the mass-murdering bomber. All one entity, trapped in an endless loop of self-creation and self-destruction. A gunshot echoes in the small laundromat. The agent stands over the body of his future self. He has killed the fizzle bomber. He has stopped the final attack before it could be fully realized. Though his younger self will still face the already planted, slightly less powerful version, he has seemingly chosen defiance. But the bomber's final words haunt him. If you kill me, you become me. He looks down at the corpse, at his own aged face contorted in death. He feels the pounding headache, the familiar disorientation of temporal stress. He looks at the working field kit in his hand, no longer bound by the Bureau. He thinks of the bomber's warped rationale, saving lives through killing. A seed of that terrible logic, planted by his future self, begins to sprout in his fractured mind. Did he break the cycle? Or did he just fulfill the most crucial part of it? By killing the bomber, has he simply taken his place, ensuring that one day he will be the old man in the laundromat, waiting to be killed by his younger self, thus perpetuating the loop? The horror washes over him. The realization that there was no choice. His act of defiance was, perhaps, the ultimate act of submission to the predestined path. He had to kill the bomber because the bomber is him. The loop remains closed. unbreakable. He is Jane, the abandoned girl who dreamt of the stars. He is John, the unmarried mother, writing his pain. He is the lover who broke Jane's heart. He is the agent who stole his own child. He is the recruiter who brought himself into the bureau. He is the dedicated operative hunting a phantom. He is the fizzle bomber, the terrorist haunted by a twisted sense of purpose. And he is the executioner of his own future. An Ouroboros. A life lived in a circle, beginning and ending in the same moment, the cause becoming the effect becoming the cause. A paradox given flesh and blood, forever chasing its own tail through the corridors of time. His existence is a testament not to free will, but to the terrifying, inescapable gravity of predestination. He is left alone, stranded in 1975, with a working time machine, the knowledge of his entire paradoxical life, and the chilling understanding that the future he tried to prevent is the future he must now inevitably become. The snake continues to swallow its tail. Forever.